Okay, so that's a big win for the 49ers. What about the position that took the biggest step back in your eyes? Given that they can always address this in the draft.
Position that has taken a step back. Well, I mean, they have nothing at tight end. I mean, you have Tonjes, and then I don't see anything there. So I mean, to me, I think you need a significant player at tight end. Unless Hayden Rucci, I can't say that I've ever seen Hayden Rucci. So if Hayden Rucci
just wait till Luke Farrell gets his second year in the system. Just wait.
Yeah, year 2 of Farrell. He just to me, Farrell. It wasn't that he wasn't a good receiver. It was that he wasn't a good blocker. And he just didn't seem. I thought he was going to be like a real commanding, strong line of scrimmage blocker, and he wasn't. And to me, Charlie Warner was more dogged and kept the legs moving, so he was like more of a try-hard guy, more of a bulldog. So I was hoping this Farrell would be like a big space eating, almost like another offensive lineman. No, he's not. And then they used him. I mean, what were the odds that they would use Farrell and Kittle in more 2 tight end sets than Tonjes and Kittle, when it's obvious that Tonjes is the better player? And that was the 49ers. They didn't use Tonjes and Kittle together. Have they done it yet? If they have, I didn't notice it.
No, it didn't make any sense. I'm going to go a little different direction here because I think the Niners, I don't know if they got worse at tight end. They're still the same, and they're still kind of thin, especially with George Kittle out, which is why they could take Kenyon Sadiq. But I'm going to say they got worse on the offensive line, which bugs me because I feel like it's their weakest position, and it's the one position the Niners are adamant, really doesn't matter. And it's not that Spencer Burford was so good, but he's 25, and he's a starter, and he stayed healthy, and he's gone. And I don't think they replaced him. I think Brett Toth is replacing Matt Hennessy as the backup center. I think Verdarian Lowe, Toth and Lowe seem to me fine backups for the money, but not starter. You could start them, but they're not starters. So right now the Niners have 4 starting offensive linemen. I wouldn't consider Connor Colby a starter. Ben Barch doesn't seem to be coming back. I don't think he's a starter either. I would hope they're going to draft a guy as early as round 1 or 2. That's what they did with Aaron Banks. But as of now, they have 4 starters on their offensive line, which troubles me.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, as we get closer to the draft and they go through these different free agent maneuvers, there's some positions you think, okay, maybe it's less likely they're going to draft, like linebacker, and maybe there's other positions like offensive line where it appears that there's maybe a little bit more likely they're going to draft people. I will say this. For you Niner fans who are trying to figure out, who are the Niners, which offensive linemen do they like and who will they draft? Remember this. They really love the 10-yard split guys. They love the guys who are quick. They love guys who can run off the football. So they really love guys who have – so a lot of the talk about Caden Proctor. I don't know, man. I mean, Caden Proctor's just jumbo, and he could be awesome, but he's not the Niners type of guy as far as – that's not usually what they go for. Last year, they wanted one of those Raider guys that went to the Raiders. Those guys really kick butt. Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant in the 10-yard split in their 10-yard shuttle. So just with that in mind, I mean, go look that up. But I mean, like J.C. Davis, who went to McClymonds, who played at Illinois, he had a really good 10-yard split. Emil Wagner from Notre Dame, he had a great 10-yard split. Micah Morris from Georgia had an amazing 10-yard split. The 2 tackles that had good 10-yard splits were Blake Miller and the INHer from ASU, who could be the 2 guys that they're looking at in the late first round. So I do think it will be, go look at those numbers, the 10-yard split guys. I will almost guarantee you that if they go with an offensive lineman, it's going to be from that list. Guys who are among the leaders in the 10-yard split.
The thing that bugs me about the offensive line is you'd think that with Brock Purdy here, this would be something the Niners would want to solidify, not just for now, but for the future.
Right.
And not
build
only
a fortress.
Your left guard. What's that?
Build a fortress around this guy. You've got your guy. Build. Do what the Eagles did. You think, is Jalen Hurts awesome? No, I think we're finding out that he's not that awesome. In fact, Brock Purdy could be better than him. But Hurts has a ring. Purdy doesn't. Why? Hurts had an awesome offensive line and a killer runner. Brock is a killer runner and a poor offensive line. If they upgrade it, he's got a shot at a ring. I mean, it's really as simple as that.
The Seahawks invested in their offensive line. They've drafted all of those starters, two in the first round. Darnold didn't miss a game last year. He stayed upright. He won. He's not the greatest quarterback in the league. Maybe if you put Brock Purdy behind a comparable offensive line. And so right now you got no left guard. You got a center that isn't good no matter what the Niners say. A right guard who we'll see. I mean, he had a down year last year, but he was hurt. The right tackle's good. And you haven't worked it out with the left tackle yet. So can you get serious on the offensive line, please? What is the plan with Trent Williams? In 2 days, you give him $10 million cash. Are you going to give him that and then let him hold out and not extend him? You're not going to trade him, clearly. Are you going to give him an extension? What's the plan there?
Well, I mean, you kind of went right by they're not going to trade him clearly, but I don't know. I mean, is there any kind of poly market odds on that? Where can we find out what the odds are on that? I'd like to see the odds on
Mike
that.
Mike Evans and Christian Kirk. I'm like, okay, so you're going all in with the
right.
1 year.
It makes sense. I mean, if you're going to go for Mike Evans, you should be in the market to re-sign Trent Williams, right? It's just logical. But we also know that they're at a fork in the road. Yeah. And it's like and they've already gone that last year they had a mountain of dead cap, 103 million, third most in the NFL. If they go down this road with Trent right here, and as you say, not just sign him, but extend him, you potentially could be looking at a mountain of dead cap, or he could walk away and retire and you could be fine. But you know, and then you also have a player who's 38 and has played 18 years and is, you know, probably not, you know, getting any better. I don't know. I mean, he's not in the mood to take any kind of a pay cut. That's for sure. I'm not saying he should, but at some point it might be in your best interest to, especially if somebody who's actually willing to give you something in return. I mean, that's the question. We don't really know. I mean, if it's just cut him or pay him, then pay him. But if it's cut him, pay him, or trade him for something, what is that something? And what does your team look like with that something? So there's some variables there that we just don't know, but I would say it's probably they'll work it out and they'll extend him because they have no leverage. It's like the storm's coming, and they don't have a storm shelter.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean?
That's the problem with the Niners as a front office. They don't plan ahead. You saw the weather report. This was coming from a mile away, and then it hits, and you're like, oh, damn it. We forgot to get a left tackle last year. We clearly need. So what are we going to do? Are we going to give him what he wants? Are we going to trade him? Or are we going to do nothing and circle back in September? Let's just circle back in September. That's what they always do. You wait and you wait and you wait and you let other people set the market, and you create bad blood with your player. He misses time. You create drama. He comes back. It's not ideal. And they made a point of avoiding this last year, right? They were like, we got all of our extensions done before OTAs. Brock's here. George is here. Fred's here. I think this is going to just drag on, and that's too bad.
It's going to be interesting. You know, there's a couple wild cards going on here. One, you got Kansas City that has openly loved Trent Williams forever because they realize what he is. Now, is Kansas City interested only in, hey, if you cut him, we'll sign him? Named Esapole, who is pretty good, and you could take that player and maybe some form of a draft choice and get down the road. And yeah, you're not going to find Trent Williams, but you know, you're at least don't have an older player there and a lot of, you know, you've got a draft right now that you could go draft a left tackle if you wanted to. You could devote a couple picks to drafting offensive linemen if you wanted to here. So you got that as an option, or you can sign him. And then the other team is Houston. It's like Houston is, you know, CJ Stroud is not very good right now, or at least he wasn't in the playoffs. And they're saying, hey, it's not CJ. It's everything around him. So they brought in David Montgomery, but they just lost Titus Howard, and they don't have good offensive tackles. And D'Amico may give you, they drafted Arianti Ursary out of Minnesota last year, and he played okay. Would they trade Ursary and some pick for Trent Williams? They may, because D'Amico doesn't have what Shanahan has, as far as he doesn't have forever and a day and an owner who's just going to be like, yep, we'll extend you. D'Amico's got to actually do it. So,
Does Shanahan for that's another topic for another day.
we can talk about that. But I mean, D'Amico's like every other coach in football. He doesn't have the kind of kind of lifespan that Shanahan most likely has. So Shanahan can do what he wants. D'Amico's got to be a little bit more urgent. And I think they may, if Houston's super urgent, they may say, you know what, we'll give you Ursary and a 5th round pick for Trent Williams. And the Niners may look at that and say, this is our way to afford the Joey Bosa's and any other player that we want to try to get. Max Crosby or anybody else that could come available, you can't get that player unless you can, somehow extend your budget, which they're not going to do, or lop off one of your big, high priced items, and that could be Trent. So I think it's open mind. I think he's likely back, but I something is about this seems like I got to think that the 11th hour trade is at least 10% chance.
I also think there's a 10% or maybe a 30% chance that we're talking training camp holdout, 11th hour extension.
That would be terrible.
That would be the worst thing to have. If you're going to give him an extension, do it now.
Right.
Don't wait until he misses training camp to give him what he wants. Like, please don't do that.
Though training camp for a guy like that is, I know. It means something, but it's also more exposure to potentially get hurt. So you never know. I mean, it's like double-edged sword. But yes, I mean, typically you'd want all your players there for camp if possible. Even if he doesn't do anything.
Exactly.
As long as he's
just for the
if he's there at the meetings, he'll be good. It'll be good.
Yeah. All day, every day. Kim says, Larry, do the Niners really got their guy in Brock?
Well, I think they do, but they're in a good situation right now because I really like Mac Jones too. I think, I'm a believer that they got 2 really good quarterbacks they can win with. I don't think either is Josh Allen or either is going to Canton, but I think Purdy's a good young quarterback, and I think Jones is a good young quarterback. And to me, that's another interesting thing. Do they trade Jones? And to where? Arizona, Pittsburgh, those seem like the only possible avenues. Or do you keep Jones? And if you keep Jones, then do you extend Jones? And then what does that say about Jones if Jones does an extension here? Does that? I don't know. That's kind of a weird situation, but I think it's a good situation because I think both quarterbacks are really run Kyle's system well. I think you're seeing what Kyle saw in Mac Jones. He runs Kyle's system very well.
I think Brock needs to play most of the season this year. If he has another 8-9 game season and misses half of it with some injury, the Niners are going to wonder, can we pay you $53 million a year? We love you. You're good, but you're also breaking down. So I think there is some pressure on Brock Purdy this year. Although if they would just improve their offensive line, there would be an expectation that he would play 17 games. Like Darnold just did. The Real Lyrics Media says they need to get the best player available rounds 1-2. And if they fill needs such as edge or safety, then perfect. They can't just focus on need. I believe that's why they've whiffed so much. I completely agree.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like there should be before you list like the Niner needs, it should say great effing players. And then under that, you could have, what I don't care if the guy plays, except, no kicker, no punter. Now these days, I didn't think that would, in the past, that would be like obvious, but now I think that almost needs to be said. No kicker, no punter. Okay. But go after a great player. Let me give you an example, Grant. The Niners pick 27. I'm looking at Tankathon right now. Their board, right? They've got the Niners going with Caleb Lomu, who's I like him. He's a tackle from Utah. He moves his feet. He's a little light. But a couple picks later, they have CJ Allen from Georgia going to the Patriots at 31. CJ Allen is like he's like the Niner linebackers. He's like the Warners and the Greenlaws and the Bowmans and the Willises. I mean, he's a blue chipper, 3-year starter, awesome production, amazing speed. Great guy. They say he's really, really smart. This guy is spectacular. Now, this is going to be a Pro Bowl player. You're going to pass on a Pro Bowl linebacker just because he's a linebacker because you want to get some other position. You want to, so that's what I mean. It's everybody always says best player available until we get to the draft. And then it's like, hey, man, the linebacker position, I think, is one of the easiest. Linebacker and running back. If you're a great running back, you're a great running back. I mean, there's very few guys that are great running backs and then go to the pros and they're like, they suck. And if you're a great linebacker that makes tons of tackles and has tons of range, those are the easiest guys to project into a 3-4, 4-3. It doesn't matter. It's all the same. You're a stack backer. You run and you diagnose, you key, you fill, you hit. And this guy, C.J. Allen, is awesome. 88 tackles this year for Georgia. He plays on one of the best teams in the best conference, super blue chipper. And he's, on this mock at least, they're overlooking him for Caleb Lomu, an offensive tackle who, if everything goes right, this one bugs me because this guy's a 6'5" or 6'6", 313-pound offensive tackle. So if you saw Caleb Lomu, he's very lean. He's thin, Now you can have him play left guard in the NFL, and it reeks of an ACL en route to this guy becoming your future long-term left tackle. So I don't know. You got to be really careful on this offensive line.
Real Lyrics Media, you're asking me, why do they not go best player available? To me, the problem with the Niners and what Balky didn't do, you have to draft for need if you don't address all of your needs in free agency. And we're going to talk about the individual positions right now, but you don't have a starting left guard. You don't have, I guess you have a starting free safety, but you don't have a starting left guard. You don't have any replacement for Bryce Huff. Those two things are glaring holes. Yeah. If you sign someone at both spots right now, if you sign some edge rusher, you sign some guard who can start, has some experience, you could do whatever the hell you wanted to do in round one. But you've put yourself in a position where you have to have day one starters who are rookies. You can't wait until round 4. So we know right now, unless they sign someone else in the next couple of weeks, they're absolutely taking an edge rusher and a guard with their first 2 picks. Have to, which sucks. You should be in a position to react to the way the board falls because you don't know. That's how I feel.
I mean, you're right. It does suck. It's okay as long as you pick the right guys. Pick the right guys. That's really it. I mean, that's really it. It's not just get a guy. See, when you say we got to just get a guy at our position, you wind up with Ricky Pearsall.
Right.
You wind up with Mikel Williams. Yep. Here's the other thing. The guy who made the pick, John Lynch, went with Mikel Williams. The defensive coordinator who probably will have the pick this year,
Morris,
went with Jalen Walker.
That's right. The Niners passed on Jalen Walker. Now they're looking for Jalen Walker. Isn't that
right? I mean, and not only that, I mean, I will say this, though, what's really kind of encouraging to me about the draft coming up, if you're a Niner fan, is that Raheem Morris came off a year where he took Xavier Watts and Billy Bowman at safety, 2 really good young safeties, and then took James Pierce and Jalen Walker at edge, 2 really good edge rushers. Now, Pierce might go to prison, but beyond that, there's 4 really good defensive football players there. Maybe Raheem has a good eye for talent, and maybe that's why he got
partly
the gig.
Why they hired him, potentially.
Might be why he got the job.
Lamont says should have kept Ross Dwelly at this point. Adam Peters was better than Lynch. Fire him and get real GM that checks Kyle Shanahan's ego. Doesn't even make good picks in free agency. Is Adam Peters doing a good job in Washington? I don't know.
Signing out of free agents, man. I mean,
it's Kinlaw like $50 million. I'll never. Hey, good for Javon though. Ezio Sanchez says, is Brock a top 8 quarterback? Don't think so. Is Mac top 20? I think it's hard to put Brock top 8 after the injuries he's had the last couple of years. He has the potential if he could stay healthy. I do think Mac has the potential to be top 20 if he could get an actual starting gig. So possibly, potentially.
I would say they both sit between 10 and 15.
I think that's fair.
And I think they're really, really close. I mean, I think they're really like, I think Purdy's better because of the movement ability, but that's when he's taking care of the football because Jones also has some really great strengths as we've seen.
That's true. All day, every day. Kim says, Larry, that's the problem to even think Matt could be better. Brock is a $53 million quarterback with questions. Your backup looks just as good and threw more per game. What I will say to defend the 49ers is while the average per year is 53 per million. It starts low and escalates over time, and they can get out of it before it gets really, really expensive. And right now, he's still relatively cheap. I think his cap number is like in the 20s, which makes, I mean, he's not even the most expensive player on the team. Trent Williams is. Just want to say that.
It's funny. It seems like time goes on, but a lot of these themes seem to repeat themselves. I mean, Young and Montana motivated each other. Jones and Purdy are not Young and Montana, but they do have kind of I think they do kind of motivate each other. I think Brock helps Mac be better. I think Mac's presence guarantees. I mean, look how well Brock played when he came back in.
Thank you. Great point.
I love that competition. And then like the Niners used to use the quarterback position to trade off guys and get more assets. If I'm Shanahan, I make sure Curtis Rourke has a golden trip through the preseason, and if he plays pretty well, maybe he's the quarterback that you trade at the in September.
In 2022, Brock had Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo breathing down his neck. In 2023, he had Darnold breathing down his neck. In 2024, he had no one breathing down his neck. They won 6 games. And last year, Mac Jones, I think it brings out the best in Brock Purdy. He's a competitor, and he's not freaking Patrick Mahomes yet. He needs to be pushed like this. And you know what? Like you said, Joe Montana needed to be pushed. I think people are real eager to trade Mac Jones, but I think that the quarterback dynamic the Niners have is one of the best in the entire league. I'm not saying Brock's the best quarterback in the league, but to be able to have 2 quarterbacks who are both top 20, name another team that has that. And yes, sure, you'd rather have Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, but even Mahomes got hurt last year. Josh Allen's the only real Superman out there. Burrow got hurt last year. Lamar got hurt last year.
There's something really icy about Mac Jones too.
Yep.
He's very, and you know what? Yeah, he's got the dad bod with the gut. He looks like he could be one of your golfing buddies.
Yep.
But then you know what? He's accurate as hell. I mean, this guy is accurate. Did you see that? Did you see that clip the other day, Grant, where he threw? Was it a shot glass at a gong?
Yeah.
I mean,
all day.
That's all day. The guy is accurate. I mean, seriously, that guy is very accurate. I think it's the key to the key to their dynamic is keeping this as long as they can. Now that I think about it, it's like keep this going as long as you can. Why? Because if the personal dynamic doesn't work, then it doesn't work. And the personal dynamic does work. Mac Jones is just a goofy enough kind of a guy where he can kind of lead when he's in there and be kind of chill and like laid back when he's not playing. I mean, he's like Grant, he's a unique personality. He found a way to lead these guys and not have anybody. There was no animosity, no like bad vibes. Not once did he say one thing wrong. And the guy was icy. I mean, to me, he's I would extend him if he's willing to be extended. I would try to extend him.
Can't get right 929 says Thomas from the Sooners will be a Parsons type rusher. R. Mason Thomas, I like him.
Yeah,
but I'm just getting into these guys.
Yeah,
we'll talk about him in a minute.
It's tough.
Can't get got you. G30S. I don't even says what's your record prediction for next year? I don't make my record prediction until I see the schedule. I'm gonna hold off on that.
I mean, double-digit wins. I'm gonna, to me, I think, I'll clarify as we get closer, but I'm confident. I've already seen the opponents. I'm gonna say double-digit wins.
What do you do with Mac if Brock does good this year? What can you do? You got to let him go and hope he gets a big contract and get some comp pick. That's what you can do.
Yeah,
you're not gonna tag him.
No,
I'll tell you that.
No, but he does become kind of the guy that is behind if broken glass, if necessary break glass. He's the quarterback that everybody's gonna. It sets up perfectly for the Niners to actually get, if they want, maybe a very good deal at the deadline. You never know. You never know what quarterback's going down and how desperate a team may be, because a lot of times you're talking about the livelihood of these coaches.